Hey you, it's Reese, and we are back with another prophetic word. This word is not brought to you by a word or a number. This is something I experienced as I was traveling to another location the Lord has sent me to. And I have pictures. I'll upload the pictures so you could see. So I was driving, and the mileage was a certain mileage, and the arrival time was at a certain time. And so I'm driving and not even realizing that I'm speeding. But when I happen to look to see, what the time is that, I have to keep going, I see that the arrival time was increased. And I'm like, how is it going to take me longer to get there? And I was actually speeding, not meaning to speed. But then I thought to myself, okay, slow down. The Lord's probably like, it's illegal. You cannot speed, or I don't need you to speed to get to where you're going. You do the speed limit. So anyway, I slow down and I start doing the speed limit, and I'm more cautious about my speed. So later on, I looked down again, and the arrival time increased still. And I'm doing the speed limit, and I'm like, what is the deal? Why is it saying it's going to take me longer to get there than when I first started? And I'm doing the speed limit, and before I was speeding. So I'm taking pictures because I know God has something to do with this. I'm like, you're up to something, and I'm going to figure out what it is. So we get to a traffic jam. So obviously we're slowed down. Would you believe it that the arrival time decreased? So I would get to my location sooner than when I would have if I was speeding or doing the speed limit. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? So then the traffic slows all the way down. We're at a standstill. And the arrival time is still less than it was when I was speeding and doing the speed limit. And I said, okay, I get what you're saying. So what the Father is saying, for some of us are trying to rush the process. No one can rush God's process. No one can rush his judgment. No one can escape his process. No one can escape his judgment. That's in the Bible as well. If you try to escape his process, you will be in big, big trouble. I forgot what scripture it is, but it's in the Bible that you will get the smoke if you try to evade his processing once you give him your yes. So that's what the Father is saying, that some of us have been trying to rush the process. Either we feel like we've been in the process long enough, or we're like, okay, we just need to get there now. This is taking way too long. This is also how you see a lot of people that were serving Christ, especially if they're being brought into fame, and then they transition. They what's the word? They jump ship, and they jump to the enemy's camp because God is taking too long for them. And so they leave the fiery furnace and they go to the enemy's side because the enemy can get them there sooner. So they think. But that comes with a lot of strings attached. So what the Father is saying, I can get you where I want you without you rushing. You can be at a standstill. I can have you staying seated, not doing anything, going anywhere, just having you sit with me. Or I can be having you do something where you think it doesn't matter, and it has nothing to do with what I've called you to. But the Father's saying, I can get you where I want you to be, where you need to be, quicker in a standstill, or where you feel it's a standstill or no movement, faster than you can trying to rush to get there. So accept the process, receive the process, receive his perfect timing. I know a lot of us are tired and we're like, oh, when is it coming already? But everything in God's perfect timing. Also, I ended up getting off on an exit accidentally, and I was like, oh my God, this is probably going to take me even longer to get there now since I accidentally got off here. But the arrival time I would have gotten there signified a number that God has been showing me when it comes to one of the promises he's given me. And that number was my arrival time. So even in that, God said, even with a delay, even with a detour, I can still get you to the place you need to be at the time that I need you to be there. So trust his timing, trust his will for your life, lean not on your own understanding, but submit, surrender, and trust everything to the Lord's will. Okay? So I pray that blesses someone. If you are trying to rush the process, God is saying, slow down. I'll get you there exactly when I need you to be there. All right? Take this word back to the Lord. Make sure it's a word for you. Make sure it's a word from him. Make sure it's a word for you, and make sure it's a word for you in the season that you're in. Until next time, remember, God loved you then, no matter what you did back then. He loves you now, no matter what you're doing now. And he'll love you in the future, no matter what you may do in the future. God loves you, and he calls you righteous. So stay righteous. And if you ain't righteous, for the love of God, get righteous, because not every day is promised to you. Okay? All right. You guys have a blessed one. Bye.